Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I am going to go my review of WWE's Bad Blood. Starting off tonight, we have a great opening video package showing Bad Blood. They showed highlights of previous Bad Blood. There was another match back in the day. I believe it was in '97, if I'm not mistaken, between Shawn Michaels and the legendary Undertaker. Thought the video package to open the show was really, really good. Starting off tonight, though, match-wise, man, we start with an absolute banger. It's the Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. This was a fantastic match, man. Back-and-forth matchup between McIntyre and Punk, with Punk and McIntyre exchanging in the middle of the ring. McIntyre then hits Punk with a chair shot. Punk then attacks McIntyre with the broken legs off a table. McIntyre then gets up, hits a Claymore on Punk. McIntyre then throws Punk into the cell. McIntyre then hits Punk with the steel steps. Punk is busted wide open. Punk then gets up, hits McIntyre with a toolbox. McIntyre is now busted wide open as well. Punk hits a GTS on McIntyre. McIntyre then hits a Claymore kick on Punk for a near fall. Punk then applies a sharpshooter on McIntyre in the middle of the ring, but McIntyre breaks the hold. McIntyre then hits a suplex off the top through a table on CM Punk. Punk then gets up, hits a GTS for a near fall. McIntyre then hits a air raid crash off the steel steps on Punk. Punk somehow gets up, applies an Anaconda Vice on McIntyre, but McIntyre gets out of that, hits a low blow on Punk. McIntyre then drops a bag of beads on Punk's head, the same beads that Punk uses for his bracelet that he got from his wife. McIntyre then goes for a Claymore kick, but missed and hit the steel steps, which allowed CM Punk to hit a GTS using chains wrapped around his leg. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is CM Punk. Hats off to CM Punk for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a WWE Women's title matchup. It is Nia Jax defending the WWE Women's Championship against Bayley. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Nia Jax and Bayley, with Nia keeping the pace of the match. Nia hits a belly-to-belly on Bayley for a near fall. Bayley gets up, hits an elbow drop off the top rope on Nia Jax. Nia gets up, hits a powerbomb on the steps on Bayley. Bayley then kicks Nia. Nia falls onto the ref. Referee is taken out. Tiffany Stratton makes her way out to the ring. She attacks Bayley. Nia then hits a Samoan drop off the top rope. And then Nia Jax hits her signature Annihilator on Bayley. Pins her for the 3. And your winner of the match, and still women's champion, is Nia Jax. Hats off to Nia Jax for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Priest and Balor, with Priest keeping the pace of the match. Balor hits a sling blade on Priest. Priest and Finn both exchange in the middle of the ring. Priest then hits a Razor's Edge on Finn Balor for a near fall. Carlito is here. JD McDonough attacks Damian Priest with the referee being distracted. Finn then hits a coup de grace for a near fall, but Damian gets up, hits a choke slam on Finn Balor, pins him for the 3. And your winner of the match is Damian Priest. Hats off to Damian Priest for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a Triple H announcement. Triple H comes out to the ring. He talks about his career in WCW when he was terrorizing. Triple H says that WWE is making history. Talks about his sold-out crowd for Bad Blood in Atlanta. Triple H then also mentions Crown Jewel, and that it will be a new era for WWE. Triple H says that there will be a champion versus champion match at Crown Jewel for both the men and the women. The best versus the best. Triple H then reveals a Crown Jewel championship, saying the winners of each bout will be crowned the best of the best, if you will, champion. After that, Gunther is here. Gunther talks about Crown Jewel. He also goes forward and mocks Sami Zayn. After he mocks Sami Zayn, Gunther then talks about the legends, mentioning Goldberg and mocking Goldberg. Goldberg was ringside during Bad Blood. Goldberg, like I said, was sitting ringside. Gunther, mocks Goldberg. Security then stops Bill Goldberg for attacking Gunther. Sami Zayn comes out to the ring, and Zayn attacks Gunther. Thought it was an interesting part of the show, seeing Bill Goldberg almost trying to attack Gunther. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. Is for the Women's Heavyweight Championship, with Dominic Mysterio being locked in a shark cage. It is Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Before the match even kicks off, man, you have Liv and Dominic Mysterio having a video package showing Dominic coming to the arena with a lowrider. Had a lot of resemblance to Eddie Guerrero, which I thought was kind of funny. The match itself was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Rhea and Liv, with Rhea keeping the pace of the match. Rhea hits a fall away slam on Liv in the middle of the ring. Liv gets up, hits a code breaker on Rhea. Dominic then somehow opens the cage door. After that, Rhea hits a frog splash for a near fall. Rhea then hits a riptide on Liv Morgan on the outside. Dominic then falls out of the cage. He's hanging by his feet off the cage. Rhea then takes a kendo stick and attacks Dominic Mysterio. Then all of a sudden, as Rhea looks like she was going to win this match, she is attacked by Raquel Rodriguez. Rodriguez returns to WWE with being out with a lengthy injury, attacks Rhea Ripley, and the match ultimately ends in a disqualification. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of WWE's Bad Blood. It's Jacob Fatu teaming up with Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Now, this was the first official match for Roman Reigns since his match he had against Cody at WrestleMania. Number one, though, I will say the entrances for both Cody and Roman were absolutely great. The match itself was a great match, back-and-forth matchup between both teams with Fatu and Solo keeping the pace of the match. Rhodes hits a Cody cutter. Solo then hits a splash for a near fall. Rhodes hits a crossroads on Fatu on the outside. Rhodes then hits a splash of his own on Fatu through the announce table. Solo and Roman both exchange in the middle of the ring with Roman hitting a Superman punch. Bloodline is here. Solo then hits a spear. Jimmy is here as well. Crowd erupts. Jimmy then attacks the Bloodline. Roman then hits a spear on Solo, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match, or winners of the match, are Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. After the match, Roman walks out of the ring with Jimmy, but the Bloodline attack Cody Rhodes. Jimmy then asks Roman what does he want to do, and that he's with him, whatever he decides to do, that he is his tribal chief. Jimmy and Roman then both come down to the ring to save Cody Rhodes, and all of a sudden, Cody Rhodes holds up the WWE Championship, and then he is interrupted by none other than the final boss. The Rock makes an appearance after the match, pretty much staring down Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Cody Rhodes. Couple of things I want to talk about, man, as far as Bad Blood and just the hype around Bad Blood after the everything that happened. Number one, a lot of shit happened at Bad Blood. Number one, let's start with obviously the obvious. Number one, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre probably had, I would say, very close to the match of the night. Those guys tore the house down, and in my honest opinion, that was the best CM Punk match we've seen in quite a while. To be honest with you, he's had some good matches in WWE as well as AEW. This, to me, was the best match I've seen from CM Punk in quite a while. These guys tore the house down, and even after the fact, man, both these guys, like I said earlier, were busted wide open. Drew McIntyre required stitches. He posted a picture of himself after the stitches. Man, I think he got 16 stitches in his head from that matchup against CM Punk in Hell in a Cell. It was an absolute brutal match. With that being said, did it live up to expectations? In my honest opinion, it did. The build-up and the lead-up towards this matchup, man, the storyline, the build towards Bad Blood for this Hell in a Cell match has been absolutely phenomenal from both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, if you look at the Raw, the go-home show for Raw leading up to Bad Blood with, CM Punk saying that he was living in a hotel for 4 weeks because he was a changed man, and he didn't want his wife to see that, and both McIntyre's family as well as CM Punk's family begging them not to do this matchup. And the build, man, the build was very important, very vital piece of this matchup. And both these guys delivered in that match, man. They tore the house down. To be honest with you, though, I was really surprised that they opened with the Hell in a Cell match, to be honest with you. I was kind of back and forth on whether it was going to main event Bad Blood or it was going to be Roman and Cody teaming up against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. But I was still surprised that they opened up Bad Blood with Hell in a Cell between Punk and McIntyre. Am I mad about it? No. Absolutely not. I think the match itself was a great match. And to be honest with you, it's hard to deliver a really good match in a Hell in a Cell, man. Hell in a Cell has always been one of those matches for WWE, especially as of late, that, a lot of people kind of got tired of the morale, if you will, of what the Hell in a Cell matches became or what they once was. Compared to back in the day to what they are now, we were constantly getting Hell in a Cell matches or just a Hell in a Cell PLE alone. So to see this and see what the outcome was in this matchup, man, it was absolutely awesome. And I was happy with the winner. Punk had to go over in this match against McIntyre. McIntyre has been just decimating CM Punk every time these guys got in the ring. So to see CM Punk walk out and become victorious in this match was an absolute good decision on WWE's part to have Punk go over. And, it really, to be honest with you, it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, with them hopefully moving on from the storyline between those two. Because At this point, I don't think there's anything else left for McIntyre and Punk to do as far as matches or storylines concerned. To be honest with you, I would not be surprised, especially with the high-profile win that CM Punk got against Drew McIntyre, that we don't see CM Punk, that we might see CM Punk actually challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. Whether that's going to be at Survivor Series or something like that, I can see that happening relatively soon, which will definitely be a high-profile matchup. It would be the first championship matchup for CM Punk since he's returned to WWE after being away for pretty much 10 years. So that alone speaks volumes. But that match absolutely tore the house down. The other thing I want to talk about, too, is Triple H. Triple H coming out making a huge announcement for Crown Jewel. Now, a lot of people are not for the Crown Jewel events. They're not really too keen on them. You know, a lot of people are just like, it is what it is. And sometimes they'll throw on decent matches, and that's about it. I think this year's Crown Jewel is going to be very interesting. To have champion versus champion for both men and women, and the winners of those matches will be crowned pretty much the best of the best. I think it makes Crown Jewel a lot more interesting, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're looking at the narrative right now, looking at champion versus champion, I mean, just on paper, man, you can have Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, which will be absolutely incredible. And then you can have Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan alone. And those matches would be absolutely incredible. But Crown Jewel is definitely going to be interesting. I think Crown Jewel takes place in about 4 weeks. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of good matches on the card. And with what Triple H said, with, you know, champion versus champion, the best versus the best, I'm locked in. I'm absolutely all for it. And like I said, man, you know, the way that Triple H and, you know, obviously Hunter being a part of creative control for WWE, he's doing a hell of a job with building storylines and creating storylines and you know, adding these different ingredients to these storylines to get people invested. I mean, if you look at the Bloodline storyline, man, it's been going on for 3 damn years. And it's progressively, over time, had just gotten better and better and better, man. It's like a fine wine. You know, and as it, you know, ages, it gets better and better and better with every single time, every single year, every single month. So, you know, and it's just been incredible. You know, absolutely incredible. Obviously, the other thing I want to talk about, the big elephant in the room, obviously, is the main event of Bad Blood, with Cody Rhodes teaming up with Roman Reigns for the first time against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. It was a great match. Had a lot of crazy moments. Obviously, the return of Jimmy was a big, big deal. Obviously, no one really knew what was going on with Jimmy. You know, I know Rikishi put out a thing, telling everybody to pray for Jimmy. I personally don't know what was going on with Jimmy. I don't know if he was injured or he was dealing with some personal stuff. But obviously, he was away from WWE for a little while and kind of written off TV. So to see him return at Bad Blood, attack the Bloodline, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, it was great. It was great to see him back, and it was great to see him align himself back up with Roman Reigns. It was a big, big deal. But the match itself, man, it was a great match. You know, and a lot of people, and myself included, were kind of, you know, hesitant on how this match was going to play out. You know, was Cody going to turn heel? Or was Roman going to turn heel and attack Cody Rhodes? You know, there was a lot of questions, like I told you guys, that we were going to get some answers to some of these questions for what the Bloodline was going to do next. And obviously the big, big elephant in the room being the final boss, The Rock. The Rock returns to WWE at you know, Bad Blood. You know, he was speculated to be in town, and he was supposed to make an appearance at Bad Blood, and that's exactly what happened, and the crowd erupted. It shocked a lot of people, myself included. But my biggest question is what does this mean with The Rock appearing at the end of the match at Bad Blood? You know, you see Roman, you see Jimmy, you see Cody Rhodes in the ring. You see The Rock at the stage. He's pointing at them, and he's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of does his hand gesture. And then you see videos, you know, circulating that, you know, Solo Sikoa was, you know, standing in the crowd with Jacob Fatu, and he's telling everybody this is all part of the plan. Is The Rock going to align himself up with Solo Sikoa now that Solo Sikoa technically is the tribal chief, and The Rock is going to go after Roman and Cody? Maybe The Rock is pissed off, just like Kevin Owens is, which I will get into in a second, that Cody aligned himself up with Roman, or Roman decided to align himself up with Cody Rhodes. Was it a slap in the face to The Rock? And The Rock's like, you know what, the hell with Roman. I'm going to align myself up with the tribal chief, Solo Sikoa, to take on Roman and Roman's new faction, or Roman's bloodline, if you will. It's going to be very interesting to see what The Rock is going to say, or his rebuttal on why he was there at Bad Blood and what his intentions are moving forward. And like I said, man, and I've called this now for the past couple weeks, past couple months, that I genuinely believe that we will see an all-out civil war between the new bloodline and the old bloodline that will take place at War Games for Survivor Series in Canada. And I believe it's in Vancouver. I think it's going to be an absolutely crazy event, man. And like I said, this is, a lot of just due to Triple H for, like I said earlier, to build off this bloodline storyline that's been going on for quite a while now. I mean, you're looking at the past 2 WrestleManias where this bloodline storyline has been going on, and even before that. So, I mean, you're talking about 3 years, I would assume, at this point, where they're still continuously keep building towards the bloodline. Bloodline is one of the biggest storylines, if not the biggest storyline in pro wrestling. And like I told you guys before this, how was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson going to factor into this bloodline storyline? And I think, in my opinion now, that The Rock is going to align himself up possibly with Solo Sikoa and team up with them against Roman. Now, the biggest question with Roman is who is going to align themselves up with Roman? And honestly, it's very interesting, man. And like I told you, I think Cody is going to stick around with this bloodline storyline. I don't think Cody is one and done with the bloodline. I don't think that's done, especially with obviously Cody wearing the WWE Championship, and obviously Roman wants that belt back. So I don't think we're going to see Cody sway anywhere away or disappear from this bloodline storyline. So in my opinion, and this is just a hot take and maybe a prediction, if you will, I think what's going to happen is that you got Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. You got your 5 right there. Versus Roman and his stable, which I think is obviously Roman, Jimmy, I think Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and possibly Sami Zayn teaming up with Roman to take on this new bloodline. Now, how is it going to work? I don't know, especially due to the fact that the bloodline is pretty much predominantly on SmackDown, where you have Jey Uso currently as Intercontinental Champion, and you have Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn's in a high-profile matchup on Monday Night Raw against Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. And you also look at Goldberg having a little spout there with Gunther, who is the current World Heavyweight Champion. Is something going to happen where, Sami Zayn's going to beat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then we're going to have a matchup between Gunther and Goldberg? Now, people could say, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? It might free up Sami Zayn and Jey Uso to align themselves up with Roman Reigns. It's a possibility. Because if you look at the narrative right now, who is going to join Roman to take on this new bloodline? If the bloodline and this whole storyline leads up to War Games for Survivor Series. Because right now, from what it looks like, and like I said, it's a prediction, it looks like Solo Sikoa already has his 5. He definitely has his 4, with himself, Fatu, and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. So then if you look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if he fits into the whole Solo Sikoa thing, that's 5. And then you look at Roman. Roman, the only person that's aligned himself up right now with Roman would be Jimmy. He returned to Bad Blood. He aligned himself back up with Roman. He attacked Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, as well as Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. So we know Jimmy has aligned himself up with Roman, which was already pretty much predicted that was going to happen. But then you look at, like I said, Solo's got 5, and Roman only has currently 1 right now. So that makes 2 to 5. I could see Cody Rhodes joining up with Roman once again to align himself up to try to finally take down and dethrone the new bloodline, which is going to take some time. I don't think the bloodline's going to be just gone forever. Now, so you have Jimmy, Roman, and possibly Cody. You need 2 more. Is Jey going to align himself back up with Jimmy? Which is honestly, man, it's one of those things where it's like, who the hell knows? Because at the end of the day, Jey has done a phenomenal job as a singles competitor, number 1. And I praise Jey when he had that match with Braun Breaker. The guy has worked his ass off. He's busted his ass to get the opportunity that he got, and he was the better man that night against Braun Breaker and became the new Intercontinental Champion, rightfully so. He's been with the company for like 14 years. About time that he became, at least had a singles championship around his waist. Absolutely. But then you look at Sami Zayn. Now, Sami Zayn has obviously had alliance or allegiance at one point with Roman Reigns when Roman had his bloodline with Paul Heyman, Jimmy and Jey, and Sami Zayn. And then Solo Sikoa at that time was the enforcer for Roman's bloodline. So does Roman go back into Rolodex and kind of, see if he can reach out to Jey and reach out to Sami Zayn to align themselves up one more time to take on this new bloodline? It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen here, man. And The Rock is a vocal point for sure in all of this. Because The Rock could, join up with Roman, or he can join up with Solo Sikoa. And Rock, like I said, he's the biggest vocal point out of this, man. What the hell is The Rock doing here? And where does The Rock's allegiance lie? Like I said, is The Rock pissed with Roman because Roman had teamed up with Cody Rhodes? And obviously there's a little history there between Rhodes and The Rock. So now that, obviously the match happened and Cody teamed up with Roman, is The Rock pissed off with the actions of Roman Reigns teaming up with Cody? And now Rock's like, you know what? He dropped the ball. I'm going to go with the new tribal chief now with Solo Sikoa. And The Rock maybe likes the way that Solo's running the business right now and running the bloodline. You know what I mean? Or is The Rock going to line himself up with Roman Reigns because he does not like the new bloodline headlined by Solo Sikoa? That's the biggest vocal point of all this, man. And a lot of people were not happy with Cody Rhodes teaming up with Roman. I mean, if you look at, Randy Orton probably wasn't as pissed off as Kevin Owens was, which I'll get into in a second. But there was a little, hesitance there. Randy was hesitant, to be honest with you. And he had that segment with, Cody Rhodes a little while ago and told Cody that it's not a problem unless Cody Rhodes makes it a problem. You know what I mean? Does Rhodes have a plan here? And I told you guys that before. And I think this plan of Rhodes is starting to slowly unravel. And I think, like I said, I think Rhodes is definitely going to be aligned himself up with the bloodline here for the foreseeable future. Now, with that being said, with people being pissed off with Cody, there was a video that circulated that, Cody Rhodes, he was going towards his, backstage and walking towards his tour bus, and he was confronted by none other than Kevin Owens. Them two had a back and forth spat backstage in the parking lot, so much so where Kevin Owens actually attacked Cody Rhodes backstage at his tour bus and pretty much beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes. Now, my thoughts on this was absolutely, I'm all for it. Because there's nothing else left more for Kevin Owens to do right now. Obviously, his contract's coming up at the end of the year. And I know AEW is trying to do everything they can to bring in someone like Kevin Owens. And I told you guys I'd be very, very surprised if Kevin Owens does leave WWE to go over to AEW. But I know Tony Khan is going to try to offer him a really good deal. With that being said, with the current landscape right now with Kevin Owens being in WWE, I think it's about time that Owens turns heel. And with him attacking Cody Rhodes backstage, that's that heel switch that we needed from Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens is a great heel. I mean, you look at the matches that he had with Sami Zayn, he's a great heel. I mean, it just comes organically, just like Randy Orton. Randy Orton's a better heel than he is a babyface, hands down. Same thing with Adam Copeland. Better heel than a babyface. But now that, Owens attacked Cody Rhodes backstage at Bad Blood, this might also, might also set up a match between Owens and Cody Rhodes. So again, is Rhodes going to be free up to be a part of this bloodline storyline? Like I said, man, there's still a lot of questions that we need answers to, which I'm definitely excited for, man. I'm excited for Raw this week. I'm excited for SmackDown. And hopefully we get some kind of insight from whether it's Roman, Cody, or hopefully we get an answer from the final boss with The Rock on why the hell he was there, what the hell he's doing here, and who's he going to line himself up with? Is he going to line himself up with Solo Sikoa? Or is he going to have the back, once again, of Roman Reigns? And what is Roman going to do? Now that Jimmy's back and Jimmy's aligned himself up with Roman, Roman Reigns needs more people to align themselves up with Roman to take down Solo Sikoa's powerhouse of a team with this new bloodline. Because the new bloodline ain't no joke, bro. It's no joke. And I told you guys before, man, I have a lot of praise for Jacob Fatu. That guy is going to be a future world champion. Hands down. Or a future United States champion. To me, Jacob Fatu has a lot of similarities, it's going to be crazy and a hot take to most people, but he has a lot of similarities to Umaga. With, the stature of Jacob Fatu, the mentality that Fatu has when he gets in the ring, and just the brutality that Fatu has, man. Just like Umaga. Umaga was a force to be reckoned with, man. Umaga should have been multi-time world champion. Umaga was a beast, bro. As well as Jacob Fatu. And I think Fatu, I could see probably in the next 6 months to a year, he'll have singles championship around his waist, whether it's the WWE championship or the U.S. championship. And he deserves it. I mean, he has been a workhorse for WWE. And the fact, I genuinely believe that, this is one of the best signings that WWE has ever had as of late. And it was a great addition to this bloodline storyline. He is a force to be reckoned with, man. Fatu ain't no joke. Absolutely not. And right now, even with the additions of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, this bloodline looks strong, bro. Strong. And if The Rock somehow decides to align himself up with Solo Sikoa, it's only going to make that bloodline even stronger. Roman has a tall tale task ahead of him, man, if The Rock decides not to join up with Roman. Because he's going to have to find some people to align themselves up with Roman. and it's going to take more than just Roman and Jimmy. You know what I mean? So again, there's a lot of moving parts going on right now, man. I mean, at one side of the coin, you can say Cody's going to line himself back up with Roman Reigns, but after the attack from Kevin Owens, it looks like Cody has some unfinished business with Kevin Owens. And then you look at Sami Zayn, who also used to be a former member of the Bloodline, or honorable member of the Bloodline. He's got a high-profile championship matchup against Gunther, man. If he beats Gunther, what's going to happen with Sami Zayn? And then you look at Jey Uso. He's the current Intercontinental Champion right now. You know what I mean? So, and he's having a hell of a run as a singles competitor. So I don't know how Jey and Sami Zayn would even factor into this, to be honest with you, or if it's even going to happen. So there's still a lot of questions that are still unanswered. I know there was another, I think Zilla Vatu. He's obviously a part of the Bloodline. I know he was a part of GCW. I know they let him go, and I think he's a current free agent right now. So I don't know if WWE is looking at him. I know AEW was also looking at Zilla Vatu as well. So I don't know, man. Is Fatu going to come over? Zilla Vatu come over and join Roman? I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it'd be great. I think for what it's worth, I think Fatu and Zilla Vatu were actually tag team partners on the Indies. So I mean, seeing Zilla Vatu go up against Jacob Fatu will be absolutely great. I know Hikuleo had signed with WWE, but he looks like he's NXT bound. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen here and how all this is going to play out with the Bloodline. And I think we're going to hopefully get more information about this, especially from The Rock, hopefully this Friday on SmackDown, to figure out really what the hell is going on here. What's going on with the Bloodline, what's going on with Kevin Owens turning heel on Cody Rhodes. There's still a lot of things, a lot of questions that we still need answers to, and I think hopefully we'll get that this week on either Raw and or SmackDown. But as far as Bad Blood, man, it was a top to bottom, it was a really good show. It was a really good show. The production was great. The matches were great. I know some people were disappointed with just the 5 matches, but to me, I mean, I thought it was great. The start time was great, 6 p.m. Eastern. Great start time. Ended around 10 o'clock. I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely awesome. And to be honest with you, it's sometimes, less is more, to be honest with y'all, man. I mean, it comes down to quality of matches rather than quantity. And for me, as a fan of wrestling, I'd rather have the quality than the quantity, to be honest with you. AEW has a tendency to put on 12 matches where you might get 2 or 3 or 4 good matches, and the rest of the card kind of just, it's not the same. They put on these dream matches, and then after that, it's kind of stale. Where with Bad Blood, you got 5 matches, and every match had its own importance. You know what I mean? And they kept the flow going. And they did not disappoint. I told you guys, man, from top to bottom, the card was absolutely stacked. Absolutely stacked from top to bottom. From CM Punk to Drew McIntyre and Hell in a Cell, all the way down to the main event with Cody teaming up with Roman for the first time, taking on Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So for Bad Blood, for me, I mean, it was a solid PLE for WWE. And I look forward to Crown Jewel with champion versus champion, and I look forward to this week's Raw and SmackDown, man. Hopefully we get some more answers of really what the hell was going on here from, the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest all the way over to Friday Night SmackDown with the Bloodline and what the hell The Rock's going to do now that he has returned to WWE. So, again, it's going to be a crazy week for professional wrestling, and I'm definitely excited for both Raw and SmackDown. But with that being said, this is my review of WWE's Bad Blood. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.